And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. You can already see it. I'm grinning. I say this so often, and I really mean it, and I mean it every time, but oh my God, do I mean it tonight. We have Joe, Echo-Based Collectibles on. Again, he's one of my favorite people in this hobby. We've had some really epic chats in the past, and our goal for tonight, if you're just tuning in now, it's simple. We're getting this man to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the night. He's right on the borderline. If you go in the description below, the very first link is Joe's YouTube channel. It's honestly one of the most underrated, slept on channels, and especially if you guys love rants and you love good rants, not just like mediocre rants, but good rants. You'll really enjoy his channel. He has some fantastic content. But with that said, we're probably going to skip the introductions because Joe's now been on this channel 2 other times before. So we're just going to hop right into it. But first off, Joe, thanks again, man, for coming on the channel. And what's up with you and what's up in the world of Pokemon for you?
Thanks for having me back on, PK. Awesome. No problem, dude. Yeah, it's been a very busy, awesome few weeks, month, we'll say. Lot been going, a ton has been going on. Right off the bat, so much so that today actually, I hired my first streamer on my Whatnot channel.
Oh,
So
congrats.
thanks. Echo-Based Collectables, the brand. I hired somebody to stream alongside me with me on hours that I can't. Weekdays, it's going to start off 9 a.m. to around noon Eastern time. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. It's just gotten to the point where I have, and thank you, PSA, I have I have so much inventory. I can't put my butt in a chair for enough hours in order to sell it. I just can't. The girl that she's been one of my moderators for a very long time. She lives in Indiana. It works out perfect for her. She's great. She's a Pokemon fan, huge fan too. She has her own channel too, her own whatnot, but she's really great. And what I like the most about it is it's going to bring a different vibe. Um, it will be different. She's obviously a different personality than me, but I've been very envious of like the larger, like going twice and all those people that have like huge teams working for them. And I always jump on their channels when they have different people on. It's like a different show each time. Like it's just a different person altogether. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I'm really excited to be able to do this. I've never had an employee ever work for me for anything ever. So it's interesting. So that just happened today, but I'm excited about it because it's gonna free up a lot of my time for other things I want to do with our hobby that I just haven't been able to do. I just have not been able to do. For my
Time is a very valuable thing in this hobby. We talk
Oh
about the
yes, it
cards,
is
we talk about the money, but time, that's the most valuable thing. But
for sure.
that Yeah,
Dan,
that's interesting. You're trying to grow your business because I've talked to Travis when I was down at the Denver Collecticon, and he's the one that runs the Going Twice accounts. And one of the things he said to me while I was there that really stuck with me is he said that they stream 60 hours a day. So
wow,
obviously there's
yeah,
only 24 hours in a day, but that means he has multiple streams running almost all the time. Like at some point he always has, somebody selling cards. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty smart that you're doing that too.
yeah. I had one of the larger channels, not as large as his. Actually, Pokemon V Mart. One of the larger. He has like I think they're up to about 50,000 subs. But he actually reached out to me at one point to about starting up a East Coast branch of his brand, so to speak, and running an office. And it's just it's a huge leap for me. And then that conversation eventually just diverged into like him just trying to help me, encourage me to do this. He was really encouraging me to do this full time, and that's just one of those leaps I'm not ready to make yet. I'm not ready to make the quit your job leap full time just yet. Um, but this is a small step where it's like, yeah, and it's just, I think the best recommendation I can give for anyone out there is it has to be natural. It has to be organic. You
Mm.
have to be ready to do it. Like I'm at a point where my, if anybody ever is out there at a point where your main job is getting in the way of your side job, then your side job is now your main job. Like, and that's just, I've heard Dan talk about it a lot too.
Yeah.
Similar, and it's getting there for me. It's getting unmanageable.
Yeah,
Um,
Pokemon might not like really affect my normal job, but it definitely takes up a lot of my mental, like capacity during the day. I'll be
yeah,
doing one thing, but then in the back of my head, I'm always thinking about something else.
exactly. And
Yeah.
like we were saying, like I was just saying, like a lot of the things that we enjoy in the hobby, I don't have the time right now. I would love to sit down and play Scarlet and Violet right now.
Yep.
Can't. And I would love
Yeah.
to even make content out of that. I mean, I'm watching a lot, like Bitter Hyena is a channel I like. I'm watching people with capture cards play the game, and I'm like, Jesus, I would love to be able to just hop on and put some of that content out there and just play through some of Scar, but I just don't have the time. Like
Yeah.
I have
Well,
this,
yeah, it's
I
funny
have a,
it's funny
sorry.
you talk about time because I know you have recently like I don't know if you are getting into consignments or what, but I know you took a bunch of cards from Dan Catchmall Collectibles and sold them, as a consignment service. And one of the things I was thinking about when I did hear Dan say that he was doing that, the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, that's just a lot of time. And it's like this weird thing because I'm sure you've ran into it. I've ran into, I'm sure, everybody listening to this stream has run into it. I've had like a lot of people reach out to me in like my normal life. They're like, hey, I know you sell a lot of stuff on eBay. Can you sell this thing for me? And it will literally always be like the most awkward, largest thing that they own. It will be like the hood of a 1970 Cadillac Eldorado. It's like the biggest freaking thing ever. And it's like, no,
No,
sorry.
no,
But and in a way, I kind of think, and they're like, no, I'll split the money with you. And I'm still like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm good. So I always think about consignment that way. But at the same time, like a consignment service, like what Rusty runs or Z&G Emporium, at the end of the day, it is still free money, because you're not eating through your inventory. You're just selling through somebody else's. But
that's
did you think about
true.
that from the time aspect?
I've actually, it's funny you mentioned that. So since Dan had me do it, I've had no less than six other people reach out. I have three people's in my office right now ready to go for next Saturday. I'm doing a singles and slab stream next Saturday. Three people are consigning with me. And I always put it out there like I can't, it really depends on what you're offering up for consignment because the stream has to be enticing enough to get the viewership. So like I'll tell people like I might hold your stuff till I get a couple people in. Now this is the weird thing.
Mhm.
I didn't even advertise this at all. These people just naturally organic to the point where I actually recorded a YouTube video that I did not upload. I had it set to go, and in the video I was like, all right, I've been thinking about it and I'll take, like I'm going to open this up to the public, like with the caveat, just like Dan does, like I'm going to put the brakes on this if it becomes overwhelming. I didn't even release that video and I still have people reaching out to me. So I was like, I can't put it out there yet, but that's one thing that I would love to be able to do if I had more people to run my other streams because it's one thing I love. I love doing singles. I love singles. I love slabs. I love doing, 99-cent auctions and just letting the viewership take it. I have a way of doing it that a lot of people don't. Um, I can even do higher end cards because what I'll do is live on camera, I'll pull up recent eBay comps and I'll explain to the audience, like, listen, guys, see, the thing about doing singles that a lot of people don't realize is you have to play to the audience. So you have to know what your audience wants. They want Gengars, they want Snorlaxes, they want Charizards, Blast. You have to know what they're looking for. And then you can go like, because people will be like, do you have any Gengars? And if you have them, that's what sells. Like, yes, actually I do. Here's a level X Gengar. And they're like, shit, I need that for my, shoot, I want that for my collection. And you're like, great, here's an eBay comp. Give me 20% less than eBay. And you start the auction 20% under and it'll sell. So there's a method, but you have to be organized, really organized. You got to have like I organize it by set, by species, so that when people call for things, you can it's your quick man with the card. But I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I like for a long time I did singles every Friday, and I would source them. I would go out and like look on eBay to try and get stuff undervalue because I knew my audience would pay a little bit more for it because they're hunting stuff down. And I haven't got to do that in a long time, and that's one thing I really I really wish it's one thing I would want to get back to doing on a weekly basis. If I can have this other person take some of like the modern pack opening away from me. Um,
Yeah.
But you have to do, as you know, you're in that distributor game. You have to take it.
Yeah.
You have to take it. And man, Silver Tempest, I've gotten hammered by my distributor the last 4 weeks. Like I got my wave one, I got my Charizard UPCs. Then literally the next week he calls me up and he's like, Silver Tempest wave two coming.
Oh wow.
I was like, oh hell. All right, yeah, give me whatever you can take. Give because I need to get the allocation for Crown Zenith. So I was like, yeah, I'll take whatever you can get me. So I'm sitting on like 80 boxes of Silver Tempest
Mhm.
right now.
That's a lot.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and it's fun. It's a great set. No, like no lie. Like I originally got into doing all this. My goal was to open modern product because being a collector and being a player, I always loved opening booster boxes. I always loved cracking boxes, opening cards. It's always been like a lot of fun. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, if I can just get paid a little bit to open modern product, I love that. It's great. It's fun for me. And
yeah.
I like to see I get to experience the way the sets are built out these days. There's no way on God's green earth I'm buying 8 cases to crack every alt art on my own budget. But in this way, I get at least hold everything before I mail it off. So it is fun. It is really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
So I got a question for you because you're a good person to ask this question. Now, you in the past, you've opened a ton of booster boxes, and for everybody out there who maybe didn't watch the previous lives, like uh, Joe was really heavily into Pokemon in like the 99s to 2003 timeline, like super, or actually all the way up to, I would say, to like 2007, but superly heavily engaged, like played at Worlds, played at WotC's player appreciation tournament in 2003. He was super active and he was a judge, and he's done a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, and a lot of the things he did back then, especially by winning, he would get a lot of prize support. So prize support more often than not would be booster boxes, including like the ridiculous uh player appreciation in 2003 where he got a bunch of Skybridge booster boxes. So Joe's definitely opened a lot of those booster boxes. But with that said, now you've opened a lot of vintage, almost every vintage set while you were in the hobby. Now, do you have what's your take now when you open modern? Because modern is just different. And I'm sure you could agree. It feels different. And then sets are impossible to complete, where the average Joe Samo off the street can't complete a normal set. Where let's rewind a little bit to 2000 or 99 or 2003, you could open up one or two booster boxes and complete most of your goal of that
yeah,
set. And it was very easy to then go and trade for the handful of cards you still need. Have Has your whole thought on Pokemon changed because you could bring both ends of that spectrum? You could bring the open up old booster boxes and open up all this modern.
there I definitely enjoyed every set. There was very, very, very few sets of vintage. And when I say vintage, I'll say black and white and past. Very few sets that I opened that I did not enjoy the set. Every set that came, I think you also guys have to remember, a lot of people forget this too. The internet was not what it is today. Spoilers were not as prevalent as they are today. A lot of times, even in the Diamond and Pearl era, set makeups, like that stuff would not get spoiled until like the day of a release. So it as a player opening a set, the first thing you look for is what cards can I make new decks with? Like, oh, this looks awesome. Like, wow, look at that attack. Like, wow, they put those trainers in that set. Like, this is going to be a fun set. Like,
Mm.
that's what the focus was, not so much the artwork or the hits. Now, the hits were always fun, but it was more, yeah, like it felt it felt better to open vintage all in all, because from a collector standpoint, you could complete a set very easily. From a player standpoint, the cards you needed to make decks with were not that hard to obtain. They really weren't. And even from like a resale standpoint, though, there was a lot more focus on the trainers, because it seems like a lot, and I actually know some of the people in R&D. It's funny. One of the guys at my league, Mike Martin, who I mention all the time, I've been going back to my league recently, and one of the gentlemen who's at Nintendo, or I always say Nintendo because it's what I'm used to saying, at Pokemon Company International right now, who's in charge of R&D, what used to be one of the players who used to go to our local tournaments when I was going. It's John. I can't remember his last name. I could find it out for you at some point, but um, he used to go by Puka. Puka was his handle on the Poke Gym. So when Mike was like, Puka's in R&D right now, I was like, no way, really? But the funny thing about it is, so they hired a player for their R&D department now. So
That's awesome.
products, he's responsible for all the league battle decks. He's responsible for all of the trainer toolkits. Those were all his ideas. Now that's really great from a player's perspective, but what majority of what we care about here, from a marketing perspective, it does tank some certain singles. Like back in the day, there was no products like that. So if you need it, for instance, if you needed a Mew VMAX for a deck, because let's say Mew VMAX was the old card that whatever the old best card is that you needed, you had to open packs until you got four of for a deck that you needed.
Yeah.
And they went for more, even though there really wasn't like a secondary market. I mean, eBay was in its infancy. There was a common understood value for the cards. Like when you went to events, like, dude, I need four of that card. All right, well, I know they're valuable because I know it's being played a lot right now. What do you got? And that's how I would get a lot of my higher end cards. I would get gold stars. I would get stuff to complete my sets. Nobody wanted, like, a Charizard Gold Star was desirable because it was a Charizard Gold Star, but it had no play value. But I could
Yeah.
trade somebody 4 or 3 EXs that were a lot easier to pull, but they needed them. So I would trade them 3, like whatever, like, I don't know, Flareon EXs or whatever that were easier to pull, but had more value because they were able to be played more. So I would
Yeah.
that's how I would complete my sets. But it just felt like more of a community. Whereas today with modern, it's fun as hell to open, and the trainer gallery does make it a lot better. Getting 15 hits in a booster box is great. When I'm opening for my streamers, like, there's a big difference between opening Silver Tempest and Lost Origins versus opening, like, I don't know, Battle Styles
Darkness Ablaze.
or Darkest Ablaze, where it's just like you have to, like, oh yeah, you got another rare. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. Plus, I mean, then we can get into stuff like the fact that the set not just the set makeup, the sets being extremely large and a mishmash of Japanese sets does nothing really for the hobby. But the one thing that irks me about modern more than anything is the physical cards themselves feel cheap. They weigh less. They don't use the Cosmo Hollow anymore. This line Hollow it just doesn't feel like a Pokemon card used to. I don't know how else to describe it. It just feels
Yeah,
weird.
but the alternative arts and the textured cards, they do feel premium though.
They
Like,
do.
I'll give
They
Pokemon
do.
that though.
I will
Yeah,
too. But the problem is that how with something like Silver Tempest, you're getting one art a case. One art a case.
yeah,
So it never, but when you used to open like anything from the EX era, every EX felt like a hit. It felt like you were getting more in a booster box. Like it felt like when you hit a premium hit, it felt like it. The V's are supposed to be your EXs and they feel like crap.
yeah.
I mean, that's the,
And you're right. And I put it into context. As recent as my last live, because on PokeRev's Tuesday night box break, he opened up Heart Gold Soul Silver base, and there's 6 prime cards, and there's 2 of the legend cards, so 4 legend cards total because you got the top half and the bottom half. There's a Lugia
okay.
and the Ho Ho, so that's like 4 cards, and
Yeah.
then there's 2 secret rares, the 1 and then the Gyarados. He
Yes.
pulled out of 1 booster box 5 out of 6 primes, all 4 pieces of the legend cards, and 1 of the 2 secret rares.
There you
That
go.
was 1 booster box. Like, and that's more or less all the chases, right? So
Yeah.
in order to have a perfect box, he would only need the 1 other secret rare, the Gyarados, and then the 1 prime he was missing. Other than that, he would have completed every single chase in 1 booster box. Now, yes, that booster box was an outlier for sure. Like, you're probably not going to have that kind of
Sure.
luck. That's like more or less a god box, but it was possible. Nowadays, forget about it. Imagine like just Lost Origin. You have to complete every single one of the trainers. Then you have to complete it as the hyper rares. And then you got to complete the secret rares and the full art V alternative arts. And then you just keep naming it. It's like not even possible. You
It's ridiculous. I'll be
can't do it.
honest. I still do collect a master set of every set. I try to. But the first thing I do when a set's released, I'll go buy a skeleton of it. I'll just go on eBay and I'll look for someone who put one together and I'll buy the skeleton. I'll open some of my own, but then I'll fill it in with holes because yeah, it's ridiculous. You can't pull a master set anymore. However, I do think that that bodes very well for the price of modern though, too. This is why you see things like, oh, but how long did it take us? How long are we into this before you
Uh,
see something like
Oh
Moonbryon?
God, 20 minutes. You're bringing up the Moonbryon.
Any
20
alt art,
minutes.
any alt art that's desirable. That's why that you have modern cards like that that go for so much, because like I made another video on Moonbryon that I never released. I probably have made 4 videos in the last month that I just never published. Um, and one of them was I just get so tired of people that don't understand why the card costs so much. It costs so much because nobody wants to open that many damn booster boxes to fill in the last binder slot they got. Like, that's why it costs so much. You're not
Uh,
paying for a
Listen,
raw
we can
one.
have conversations on it. It's not that simple.
For a raw one. It's the most
Yeah.
desirable card in that set. Umbreon is top 5 Pokemon species. And if you're out there trying to get one and you keep whiffing on booster box after booster box, you're at some point you're just gonna be like, screw it, I'm gonna pay the 450 or $500 and not have 10 pounds of bulk that I have to offload. I'm just gonna buy the last card I want. Like,
Yeah, but there's a lot going into the market too, and they're going to continue go. I said in my last live, I said there was like 2,100 PSA 10s. Somebody had to correct me and said, no, it's greater than 3,000 PSA 10s. And that was how far my numbers were off. I was off by like 1,000. You got to keep in mind in the history of like sports and Pokemon and just all cards in general, for a card to have graded populations of over 2,000, let alone 3,000 for a card to sell for $1,000, that
it's
is
a lot. It's not a lot, I know.
that is an ultimate outlier. No, it is an outlier. Like
That's
in
what I mean.
sports, when you start to talk about cards that sell for greater than $1,000 in PSA 10 with 3,000 plus graded, it brings you into like Mike Trout rookie cards and
Jordan's,
Jordan rookie cards and some of like the biggest, most
Gretzky's.
expensive cards. Yeah. And so it
Yeah,
is an outlier.
it is. It is.
It's worth the conversation to have at least
It
because
is. I'm just talking about the raw price of the raw card. That one makes sense to me. The raw price of that card at a $400 price, considering Giratinas and Aerodactyls are going for 2. That does, I mean, and that card, Evolving Skies, there's more alt arts in that set than there is any other set. It is more difficult to pull a particular Pokemon out of that box than it is
yeah,
any other modern set, period. So for somebody, and there are millions of Pokemon collectors. Like, we all are into this little bubble where we think like there's like, I don't know, like 5,000 Pokemon. There's a lot of Pokemon collectors out there that just want Umbreon. So like, I
no,
can understand, like, I'm in all the Facebook groups that like throw up claim sales all the time. And whenever somebody throws up an Umbreon, that thing is gone. Like, it's like people just want, they're like, and I read the comments, they're like, thank you. Like, I've been wanting one forever. Like, I can't pull this freaking thing. Like, but the PSA 10s, yeah, I'll never I mean, I'll never buy into. I think that's the correct word. I'll never buy into the irrationality of getting a modern card in a 10. Like,
because especially when a card has an 80% gem mint rate, meaning you have you're more likely than not going to grade that in a 10. You're actually going to have bad luck. You only have a 20% chance of that not hitting the 10.
yeah,
So just do it yourself. That's what I always say. But that goes back to there is this barrier of entry, especially when it comes to grading. Like I've
there
found out
is.
there's a lot of people don't grade.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that before you said that,
Yeah.
because the other thing I've had a lot of people in my streams do, I've been middlemaning for about 3 or 4 people consistently. These are people, PK, that stream themselves. They take the graded cards they give me to send a PSA, they take them back, and then they use them as like prize support in their own streams. You would assume that they would just make the leap, buy the membership, and just grade their own cards, but they don't. They still are having me middleman them for them.
Hmm.
So my point is that even the most educated people, when it comes to what even graded cards are, and even the process, even those people might be like, you know what, screw it, I'll just buy the bird in the hand. Like, yeah, I could buy the raw, and I could send it in, and I could try, and I could keep trying, but because I mean, who's buying a Moonbryon at 1,000? It's going to be somebody who's most likely educated. More chances are they're educated than they're not. the chances that it's somebody who knows about PSA and grading and what the pop reports are is greater than the chances that it's some kid who doesn't know what he's doing. You would think that that many sold in a 10, that these people would wake up and look at the pop report and go, oh my God, 80%, all I have to do is buy a couple fours and grade them myself and I'll save myself some money. But they're not.
Yeah.
They still don't. I don't know. That I don't get. That I don't get.
Yeah. No,
Laziness? I don't know. Like,
I think it's an imaginary barrier of entry. I think it's just maybe a little intimidating for people right at the beginning. They might just think it's something harder than it really is, where literally it's
yeah,
just a card in a penny sleeve in a top loader, and then one form you fill out, and then you stick it in a box and you mail it out. It's as the process is extremely easy. I think people are just always nervous to take that first step.
it's
What did they say?
intimidating.
Every journey starts with one step, and I think sometimes people are a little worried to just do that first step. So
I remember my first submission. It was very intimidating. I don't know why. Like, I was like, I remember reading like the final page you print out, and I was like, oh my God, these are a lot of rules. I was like scrutinizing it to make sure I didn't screw it up, and they were going to send me my cards back or something. It was just, it can be pretty intimidating. I had one. I'll tell you what. I submitted my first autograph card. I had a guy, middleman, send me an autograph card to middleman. That's a whole different process. That actually is pretty complicated. You have to
like
like
an
look.
Arita card or something like that,
Yeah,
or
yeah, like an
okay,
actual autograph. It's a whole different process that has like you got to find if it's a sig from an artist that they support, and every artist has a different rate that they because the one he wanted me to middleman a Gary King Pokemon signature for him. And I was like, I got to reach out. I don't even know if they support that one. They do. And then they email you back like this form with like all these different charts of prices, and it's pretty crazy. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, so that one's pretty that does have a higher entry barrier to entry.
yeah.
Um
So
oh
what else has been going on? I know before we went live, you were just saying that there's just a lot of things you've been dying to talk about in this crazy
yeah,
hobby of
so
ours.
one of them was, I mean, I haven't made a video on it yet, and I don't know if I will at this point, but the Charizard UPC stuff, that was my first ever hot potato play. Um so for those that don't know, I'm not actually going to make an independent video on it. I had this whole send off video, then I recorded the comeback video. I just never posted it. Um, I had a favor at PSA that they owed me from screwing up my Pop 5 Espeon, where they
So
promised.
let everyone know that Espeon story because it was pretty
So
crazy.
I have these two cards here. I have an Umbreon and the Espeon. So the long story short is I sent these two cards off at the same time in an order, pretty high end order. And I got the notification back. Hey, you've been upcharged. Yes, thank God I got upcharged. Great. So I totally expected both of these cards to either pull nines or tens. They were flawless. And the Umbreon pulled a nine. And the Espeon, which was the same exact condition card, they gave me a three on the report, which made me stop dead in my tracks. And I had two thoughts. Number one, my first thought was my first thought was, what did I miss on this card? Wasn't I hate you, PSA. It was, oh my God, I must have missed something. Like, I thought I'm pretty good at pre-grading. I'm usually within a grade or two, but I mean, that's a discrepancy.
Yeah.
And then my next thought, I was like, no, I something's off here. So I reached out to them and I was like, listen, I have a send off video. And I went back and I looked at my send off video of that order. And I was like, I have proof. Now I couldn't prove that the card I put in like the card in my video was the card that I put in the envelope. But luckily they reached back out to me and they said, you know what? It took a while. It took like 2 or 3 weeks to investigate. They're like, when PSA unboxes everybody's order, so this is actually good info for everybody. When PSA unboxes your order, there's a camera over top of the box in every station, and every card they take a picture of. It's not a high quality digital scan, like it's not a fingerprint, but it's enough. It's security footage basically, so that they can go back, and that's what they did. They zoomed in on my card, and they're like, you know what? The card we have in our hand is not in the same condition as the card you sent in. So somewhere, and they never told me where, somewhere in the process, somebody put and it's the ever slightly tiniest little tiny, you're not going to be able to see it, tiny little crease in the upper back of the card. So of course they came back to me and they're like, our head grader has reviewed it and it's a 3. Like, listen, it ain't a 3. Like CGC apparently gives it a 5.5, so it ain't a 3, whatever. And they were like, however, because you submitted at the bulk rate, the highest we're going to be able to offer you in comp is 1,000. I couldn't argue with that. I mean, yeah, it was my own stupid fault for submitting them both in the same bulk order. But so I was like, okay, whatever. So they gave me my card back in a 3 and 1,000, which I just applied to future grading bills because I still had like 1,000 cards with them at that point. So I was like, whatever, just apply it to my next grading bill. But what they did give me too was they said, and in addition, they're like, you've earned some goodwill here. We apologize. We want to make it right. So we will express through any one future order of yours at any point in time at the highest cost level for the lowest level open at the time. So at the time, I think 50 was open. So basically it would have been, if I chose that the next day, they would have taken any order, any number of cards, and they would have basically just had a monkey in a chair, pull my order and do it ASAP, which doesn't cost them anything extra man-hour labor-wise. So it's not really no sweat off their back. But
So
it basically,
you got walkthrough for whatever $18 bulk, right?
yep.
Or yeah.
So I kept that in my back pocket for a while, and as soon as I heard of the Charizard UPCs, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. So I only got 10 for my I got 12. I kept one. I sent one to my friend in Japan. And then I cracked 10. And because I was only paying 15. 15 was open. I got them in at 15. I sent all 30 at 15. And I got all 30 back. And I wasn't first to market. There was some guy in England that was first to market, but I was pretty close to being first to market on them.
Yeah, screw that guy too.
Yeah. So yeah, so I made that play, and that was my first ever modern hot potato play. I was very surprised at how low the 10s were, even right out of the gate. And I expected them to sell more in the $500 or $600 range instead of the $300 range. And I think the reason is that unlike the special delivery Zard, I think everybody and their mother already had these things out at grading. So people aren't going to buy them until they get theirs back. The people that would want the 10s probably submitted some on their own, and they're like, I'm not going to buy anything because I want to wait to see what I get. Like, I think a lot of more people tried to make this play than the special delivery Charizard play. Because they were a lot easier to get. I mean, even initially, like the special delivery Charizards, you still had to get the code, submit the code, get your order, you get one, maybe go buy a couple more, get two. Like they trickled in, as opposed to these things, which just whoosh, just waved out to everybody all at the same damn time. So that was that. That was hectic. And then my distributor's been dumping product on me with Silver Tempest. They've just been dumping stuff. So that's been challenging to get 2 waves of Silver Tempest back to back, to try and sell through. And then PSA, I submitted almost 1,000, about 1,200 cards at the $18 tier in 5 orders, and I got them all back already. And then I have another 800 out at the $15 tier. I got 1 order back already, and the other 3 or 4 are already in stage 2 QA, whatever. So I'm going to be, I'm going to have like 2,000. I'm swimming in slabs right now.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. But here's a tip for everybody, because I actually heard, shout out Old Card Shop and Retrospects too. I got this tip off of their podcast that they had recently. This is a good tip from Retrospects, and I did not know this. Anybody out there running an eBay store, he got this himself from listening to one of the eBay reps in one of those semi-annual calls they have with, the top rated sellers or whatever. They give you inside tips. I didn't know this, but if you're running an eBay store and you slowly put items up in your store 5 a day, 6 a day, it helps the eBay algorithm more than if you dump 100 in one day and then don't do anything for 5 days.
Mm.
So anybody out there that's getting a bunch of returns out, and you know what? I've been doing it, and damn it if it doesn't work, PK. I've had more eBay sales on stuff that's been sitting in the last week and a half than since I started doing this than I've had eBay sales in the last 2 months.
Mm.
Because I've been, instead of rushing and pulling my hair out like a madman trying to get everything listed all in one day or get it up, because if it's not up, it can't sell, right? I've just been slowly listing stuff, 10 a day, 5 a day, every day, a little bit. I didn't do any today, but a little bit every day. And it's been working. And I never knew that. I never knew that until I heard him say that. So that's something out there. That's a tip I can give for everybody. One way to help beat the eBay algorithm a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But that's been consuming a ton of my time too. Um, it's just
So
been
yeah. So I do want to talk a little bit about my Charizard UPC play too, but I'm gonna hold off on like some of the numbers for everybody. But believe it or not, like I did watch a little bit of that podcast you were talking about, and they actually mentioned like some of my plays. And I thought it was very interesting the way they took it because it was the best play I've done in a long, long time. My pre-grading has never been as on point as it was for this submission. The only thing that killed me, the $100 tier did not kill me. What killed me was the $50 tier because that's where I set my nines at. But I'll put it this way without like giving in too many numbers. I sent all my worst condition cards, all the ones that I thought were like borderline tens. And out of the 20 that I sent at the 50, six of them hit tens. So you could understand what my $100 submission did. $100 submission killed it. The only thing I kind of regret is if I didn't send it at the 100 and I just sent everything at the 50, the turnaround time between days wasn't long enough because the market drop so quickly, if that made sense.
it
I
does,
thought
yeah.
that I thought that it would stay higher, a little bit higher than it was, meaning there would be more meat on the bone if I got it like a week earlier. I thought
Right.
it would cover that because now the difference between 50 and 100 is only $50. So within that week timeline, if you could sell that card for $100 more, it's worth it because then
It makes sense.
you cover that extra 50 and then another 50 on top is just, coding. So the only difference was that extra 50 wasn't really there. It was very meaningless. It was like a couple bucks where if I sent everything at 50, it would have worked out a lot better. But I was very interested to hear that they thought that that was a bad play because out of my 14 cards that hit tens on my $100 submission, you know,
You had 14 cards hit tens.
I had 100% 10 rate.
How many did you send total? 50 on
So
100 tier.
I had 13 Charizard UPCs,
Okay,
39 total cards. 5 of them didn't I
sure.
didn't even send. And then I sent 20 at the 50 and 14 at the 100 at
How
the
many
regular tier.
total tens did you get out of this 39?
So 20.
Damn, you made out. I
I made
sent
out.
30 and I got 8 tens.
Yeah, so I made 20. So 20 out of my third
Mine
so
were
20
crap.
out of 35.
That's awesome.
So, but I think this is one of the things that really helped me out when I picked up my GameStop, and I don't know like if this is just the way the batching work. When I picked up my Charizard UPC from GameStop, I did an in-store pre-order of 4, and the lady went in the back and she brought out an entire case,
Mm,
and she just gave me the whole case. Like I still have the case downstairs, like all opened and stuff. And those Charizard UPCs that were in that 4 were perfect. So that already gave me 12 like pristine copies. I don't know why the batching was so good for those. And then like now pretty much all those were almost perfect condition. There was probably like one that I didn't send. Most of that submission came out of those 4, and then the rest came out of all the other ones I opened.
when
So
you submitted your 50 and your hundreds, did you do the 2 orders in the same box?
I did.
Okay,
I
okay,
did 3 orders in the same box. I did my 100, my 50, and then it was like the very end of the $15 bulk.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I've heard recently, and I've been curious about people that drop, like, let's say three, 4 orders in a box, one at $100 level and the rest at like a really, really low level. Because I've heard that, because that barcode they scan, they'll open
Yep.
your whole box and they're like, well, we got to send we can't just put them back on the shelf. So
Yeah. Maybe it is possible that my $100 tier just came back to, or it was like came or was graded way longer than it should have, but the time difference between 50 and 100 was very minimal. It was like a couple days too. So
I'm wondering because I think I'm going to try next time I need to send, which is not for a while. I think I'm going to try and box a bunch of bulk with like $100 order just to see how fast that bulk comes back.
yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try that play. Um,
But
that's really cool. That's
no,
you.
I thought it was an interesting take that they had because I was like, huh, because I was listening and I was like, that's interesting because I thought I did pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I'd say you did. That's pretty cool, man. That's
I looked at
awesome.
it. I looked at it on a worst case scenario for if I could
Yeah,
sell every one of those cards for $200 in a 10, which is below market value right now for those. But that would
that's
pay for the grading fee and then the entire Charizard UPC more or less. You're
yeah.
still like missing $20 and shipping and all that extra. So really, let's just call break even 240. So you get the grading for free and then an
Yeah.
entire Charizard UPC for free. So now you get the other 2 promo cards for free,
Yep.
all the packs, the damage counters. But maybe I was a huge outlier that my condition of cards were dressed because everybody was saying how bad they were. And
They're
when I
great.
opened them up, I was like, oh, this is good. This
You're
is
yeah,
really good.
you
This is
you
good.
lucked on the condition because mine were
Yeah.
definitely not. I like
And I knew too because I had messaged Dan Collectables in private, and he was asking me like, "How many did you send at 100?" And I told him 14, and he was like, "Whoa!" And I in my head I was like, "It wasn't." I was like, "I thought those were not that bad." I was expecting originally I was like, if they were all good, I was gonna send them all. So
yeah. Yeah, I was very glad I had the 15 play because I remember looking through mine like, oh Jesus, I don't really want
no,
to
I
send
was
any of
super
these.
happy.
I was like, screw it. I'll just send them all at 15. I don't care.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but yeah, you're like, it's a good product. Like, I'm happy. Like, people hate on it, but people are really hating on that product right now. And I think it's a really, really good product. I don't know.
oh, it's really
It's,
silly to hate on that product. I mean,
I, like,
that's really really silly because you still have 16 packs. If we just ignore the promo
yeah.
cards,
Oh,
there's
two of
still
mine had
16 packs.
17 packs too, randomly, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's just the dice are nice, the playmat's nice. Like, I sold all my playmats for like $10 a piece.
I
I sold.
haven't sold any of my contents yet. I haven't sold anything
There
because
you
I was
go.
just
There's
like, these promos are freaking printing money. But
yeah.
we'll see.
So
I don't.
and everyone I got back that's like a 6 or 7, I'm just gonna crack them out and keep them. Like, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna put them in a binder because they're cool cards and they're essentially free. I mean, they're more than free, and it's like I don't know. I wish. I mean, can they do that with another Pokemon? Can we get a alt art Rayquaza Ultra Premium Collection next? Like, I don't know. I think they're cool products.
yeah.
Um,
I'm just moving on to the next plays. I'm always got stuff going on. I just got these in the mail today.
what
I
you
talked
get?
about them on my last live.
Dude, that's a lot. How'd you get
Yeah.
so many? How'd you get so many? Did you just buy
Just
them?
no, a seller posted them because I don't want to buy these cards individual because
Yeah,
the shipping from the UK to the US is just way too much. Can't find like cheap
yeah.
shipping. The cheapest shipping's like $15. So I just sat around, kind of waited for a price I felt comfortable at, and I found somebody who just listed a bunch of them. So I bought
Sick.
every one he had, and I got the shipping down to like a right around $1 a card. It was like a little less than $1. So
Sick.
I rounded up. I said $1 a card to ship these, and
Did
that's it.
you
So I got these. They're gonna all go out. I'm gonna do my submission tomorrow, and then
okay.
they're all gonna go out in the mail Monday morning, and then just rinse and repeat.
Did you buy any of the old maid cards? The- Yeah, yeah, yep, yep, yep. All right, good. Yep, yep.
I wasn't gonna talk about that one.
I don't mind. I mean,
that's that's part of my submission.
somebody else. Yep, yep, same. Yep. I
I
need to
swear
get
to
it
God,
in.
this wasn't planned for everybody out there.
No,
I
it
wasn't
wasn't.
actually gonna talk about that.
The
But who
Gengar's
cares? That
cool.
takes a while to get here from Japan. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys could do that play. My cards already be
My
on the
cards are
market.
gonna be in by the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's funny.
I got the tip from somebody else. I heard somebody else mention it in a chat. Like, I don't know. I thought like it's I didn't even know those things existed, but like there's another play I guess I could. So I made another play recently that I just got back. Let me show you. I was gonna make a whole video on this and I didn't yet. Let me show you what I did. This is an exclusive because I've already sold half of these on eBay. You're not gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe this. So I had a theory. It wasn't much of a risk, but I had a theory that this set right here was a hell of a banger set to grade.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the chat. Show that again. I had to pull up my Zoom. Oh, Pokemon Go Tyranitar.
No, not just Tyranitar, but every Pokemon Go hollow, basically.
Nice.
So I took and because I went on, I subbed these months ago. Well, no, about a month ago at the this is the first $15 submission I got back. Legit, actually, not besides the Charizard ones. This is the first $15 when they opened bulk up. I subbed these and I cracked. So I had left over from my distributor a ton of elite trainers that I couldn't do anything with.
Yeah.
So I cracked all of them and I took all the hollows and I graded them. I'm talking the Venusaurs, the Blastoises, the Pikachus, the Tyranitars, the Moltres, Articunos. Like when you really think about Go as far as a hit set, as far as Gen 1, Jesus. So if you actually look at the price, and I pulled a lot of tens, it is not, it is not the hardest set to grade. I pulled a lot of nines too, but the fact that you can take a 5 cent Tyranitar Hollow and turn it into a $65 sale on a 10 is, I think, pretty cool. The prices of the Go cards, because nobody has them. They're like the pop. If you look up the pop of these, they're like non-existent. So I've been selling these and they've been selling pretty well on eBay. I just got them back. The Radiant Zard, Mew says the Radiant Zard is sexy. The Radiant Zard is sexy. But I graded everything. I graded the Zards, the Blastoises, the Venusaurs, the Moltres, the Articunos. Like I graded every popular species. And there's Snorlax in this set. There's Sylveon in this set. Like the only thing they didn't do is put a Gengar in this set. Like like I mean, and the reason I kind of knew to do that was because I know how many people on Whatnot and I know what they ask for. And I can't tell you how many times I get people, do you have any Blastoises? Do you have any Snorlaxes? Do you have any of this? And I'm open and go and I'm like, this whole set's full of hits. So I don't know if anyone else out there wants to try that. All like what 100 of people in the chat. Um, it was a cool play. And ironically, out of everything I've gotten back, the Tyranitar sells the best. T-Tar is king. T-Tar, I've sold more T-Tars than I have Blastoises, which I found interesting. Apparently people really like T-Tar. I love T-Tar, but oh, here's a cool topic. Have you seen the sprites for Scarlet Violet yet?
No. Which ones?
Pokebeach has all the Pokédex up.
Oh, okay. No, I got to check it out. I haven't even looked yet. Yeah.
Don't
Good,
be
bad, what?
not the best, in my
Not the best.
opinion. There's some cool stuff in there. I guess some of it will grow on you if you play the game and watch the anime, like every generation of Pokemon. But I was not the. I kept going like, okay, next, next, next. Okay, next. Like, it's I don't know. I don't know. I'd love to see what chat thinks. Like, I I was not that thrilled when I was looking through the Pokédex, especially with the legendaries. There is some cool stuff. So they did like, they have that whole futuristic vibe going with the
Yeah.
past. So they did do futuristic versions of like T-Tar and Donphan and Salamence and Hydreigon. So
Yeah,
there are some.
I haven't looked through it. The only thing I really been paying attention to is the starters, and I listen. I'm just gonna be super transparent with everybody. I've hated every single like group of starters, and it takes me until like the fourth or fifth set of the trading card game to
I
really
like
like
them.
it.
I agree.
Like I hated Rillaboom. I hated the name. I hated the way he looked. I actually liked Grookey as like, the Gen 8 starter. And I was like, oh, it's cute. It's like a green monkey. And then I hated his final evolution. I hated
Yeah.
Rillaboom. And then same thing with like I thought Score Bunny was pretty cool. And I was like, oh, okay. But it's kind I it felt corny. You ever remember the TV show Looney Tunes?
Yes. Yeah.
He reminded me of like the young
The young
Bugs
Bugs
Bunny.
Bunny. Yes.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
other. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like that was what I thought. I was like, it's cute, but I don't really like it. And then like the Sobble card too, I was just like, meh. But they grow on me. Trust me, they grow on me. Same thing with like even the Inteleon and stuff like that. Like for the Sobble, it grew on me, but it wasn't right away.
I agree. Like I remember playing and I really liked I liked Rowlet. I even have a Rowlet t-shirt. I liked when you're in the game and his little head turns around. I just thought it was cute. But
Yeah.
I was not a big Decidueye fan.
Hmm.
Um and that's how I felt about every generation since pretty much black and white. I like the starters, I don't like the evolutions.
Yes.
And it takes me a while for the evolutions to grow on me.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping like the Fire Crocodile's all right. I will say the sprite look. If you've seen the leaked CGI, the sprite looks better than there was a leaked CGI of the
Okay.
crocodile, and that looked atrocious. The sprite from the Pokédex does look slightly better. It does look more cohesive. Um, so we'll see. I thought it's all right. I don't like the legendaries. I think the motorcycle Pokemon are kind of
Yeah.
silly, but
Motorcycle Pokemon. Yeah.
whatever.
But so now let me ask you a question. So you've been selling a lot through Whatnot and stuff, and you've been going through a lot of your collection. Like your collection was massive, don't get me wrong, but it's not unlimited. It's not an infinity thing. Have you started to are you still holding back on some of your really high end stuff, or have you been more
I've
willing to?
sold
Because
less
because
than
when we talked the first time, you were saying like when you rediscovered Pokemon, like I really shouldn't say rediscovered, when you realized what the prices were doing after being, because you have such a large collection and there was so many, that big gap in between, you're like, okay, prices are pretty high. I want to sell everything. I'm just going to make a bunch of money. And then once you went down that rabbit hole again, you're like, wait a second, I still love this stuff to a crazy level. And then so have you been able to get past that level, or are you still kind
so
of stuck there? Is it getting actually worse?
yeah, the irony is I have more than I started with now.
Oh,
Like it I
that's
I think, and I've been meaning to do a video on this for a long time. I leveraged less than 3% of my collection to start a business.
okay.
I still have my stuff. Um, and I might always have it. I don't. So I started doing what a lot of people do. I just bought collections and flipped collections, other people's collections. Picking out pieces here and there that I wanted to keep. Um, I did sell a lot of my bulk, so I don't have as much WotC commons and uncommons and Diamond and Pearl era commons and uncommons. I did get rid of a lot of that. But as far as my binders, like my hollows and my rares and my complete sets, like that stuff, I haven't touched that stuff. Um, I have some here and there, like in a Whatnot stream. Sometimes it's difficult if you catch me on the right day. Somebody's like, "Hey, do you have a shining this or do you have that?" And I have extras. I'll be like, "All right, yeah, you guys are gonna get one," and I'll throw, I'll throw one up for the crowd.
Yeah.
Um, but not much, not much. I heard once I heard somebody say that like Rev doesn't touch his stuff.
Hmm.
I'm like, all right, I'm not touching my stuff.
That's what
Like,
Ryan said to me, and I couldn't believe it. But then at the same time, it made a lot of sense because, but see, this is the thing that I don't think we talk about enough is that Rev has the ability to buy stuff at market, but then
mhm,
immediately sell it for above market, where
sure,
a lot of people, a lot of people don't have that ability. Like
yeah,
if we buy something at market, we now have to wait for the entire market to now create a new price point so then we can make money, where he could do like the real quick turn and burn type stuff. So
yeah.
I think he has that going for him.
That Whatnot's helping with that. Being
Yeah.
being a pack breaker, I do sell packs at a slightly above market premium. I mean, we're talking $5 a pack versus the new MSRP of what it's gonna be for, whatever. So it's not much more, but that has helped me not have to touch my personal stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, Rev's on like a 1,000 levels above anything I could ever do, but like I totally respect his love for the actual cards, not to want to touch his stuff because it means a lot to him too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I have somebody's collection that I'm eyeing up purchasing too. That is a collection as big as mine. So that will be
Was he an old player? Like was in the leagues and stuff? Okay.
yeah, he's an old player like me. And it's just getting it to the point where they're comfortable because he's like a sentimental person. To him, he doesn't know really, and I'm not trying to rip him off. I'll give him 60-70% of TCG, whatever. But
Hmm.
it's more or less to him, it's like it's letting go of memories. So it's trying to get him to like, all right, but dude, this is money in your pocket. Like this could
Yeah.
be like you need this money. Like, so I've been trying to talk him. I got him to the point where I made him promise me, like, listen, if you like sell them to me,
Yeah.
like, you know me, sell them to me if you sell them to anybody ever. And he said, all right. So that would be cool though. I would love to be able to get that. He still has a couple WotC boxes sealed too. I don't have any sealed WotC anything. So it'd be cool to actually pick up some WotC.
Yeah.
I'd probably crack them. I'd probably just open them if I got them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, don't do that.
dude,
It depends on the set. Don't do it.
yeah, I think he has a first edition fossil box, which I mean, they're a dime a dozen. And what else did he have? I think he had an expedition box left, which would be fun to
Oh,
open.
okay. But just
Expedition
make,
is one of the
yeah,
most fun sets to open because you can triple hit a pack.
yeah, you could. Yeah.
And I've done it, and it was fun back then, and it'd be fun to do again. Like I love opening Expedition. That set was freaking awesome to open. Like that,
Yeah.
talk about it. I mean, that set felt great when you opened it up. It was like you could get 3 Charizards in a pack. It was like, oh, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the beautiful thing about those sets because all the rares were non-hollows, reverse hollows, and hollows. So yeah, it was pretty sweet. But I think so. We're about an hour in. If we want to open up the chat to any questions, if you guys have any questions you want answered, but anything else you were thinking about talking about too, or
yeah, stop playing.
I see some people are just thanking you. I guess you were signing some energies for them and stuff.
Yeah, I do that. Sometimes people will on Whatnot, they'll ask me to sign a grass energy and draw a very bad Torterra, which I'll do. Which I'll do.
So yeah, so real quick, we got currently have 106 people in the chat. Guys, do me a favor. Just pause this video. It's gonna take you less than 10 seconds. Pause this video, go down in the description below. The very first link is Joe's channel. It's a fantastic channel. Our goal tonight is to get this man to 1,000 subscribers. He is
Thanks.
very close, and that is our goal as part of this community. Please, let's get this man to 1,000 subscribers. That's all I'm asking for. You don't even have to like this video. Just go, give him a quick sub, and then hop right back. But
Thanks.
well, when I said that, the viewer count dropped to 72. So
I
I don't
like,
know
oh
what
shit,
that means.
run.
Yeah.
Run.
Uh,
That's funny.
no, I
Dude,
appreciate if
so
you guys would hit that subscribe button for him.
are you gonna go to Orlando? Because I'm planning on going to Orlando too. I'm so
Nope.
damn mad I missed Denver.
No, yeah, we missed you in Denver too. Your name came up a bunch. No Orlando for me. It's just it doesn't work out just with everything going on. But Charlotte is my
All
big
right.
event I'm going to this year.
How far apart are those two? Orlando's in February, right? Yeah. And when's Charlotte?
So September is Charlotte.
Oh,
So
I could probably make Charlotte too. That's a
yeah.
drive for me. That's an easy drive.
But I think the
Um,
weather will still be nice. You know, you have that September weather. Charlotte is nice warm weather. And then sadly, Charlotte pretty much piggybacks right after or right before Denver. I think they're like a week or two apart. They're super close. So if I go to Charlotte, I'm gonna have to pass on Denver. I can't do back to back.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I will vend at Charlotte. I'm probably not gonna vend full time. I think I would just probably vend on the first day and then probably do what like Dan Catchmall Collectables did. Get a booth, sell your stuff on the first day, and then I probably wouldn't leave, but I would just enjoy the second day.
Yeah, I definitely would do that. I have been curious what people do that fly in, like, I heard people ship stuff to the hotel, like, is that
Yep.
a, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But Charlotte's close enough to you. You could drive. I'm gonna drive
Charlotte,
it.
I could, but Orlando,
Yeah.
I would want to ship. I would want
Oh,
to
yeah.
ship stuff. I thought about driving Orlando. It's an 18-hour drive for me. I would want, so I thought about, you can obviously pack way more in a car. But I think I'll fly that one and drive Charlotte.
Yeah. But no, it's hard to bring that much stuff sometimes. So, all right. Do we have any questions in the chat right now?
I've been looking at some of the stuff. Let's see.
Let's. We got. I always put it on top chat, so I always miss like most of the questions, anyways.
Oh, I did too. Wait, crap.
People are talking about battle styles and stuff right now. It is interesting, like the sets people are talking about. I don't know if people are like trolling, but battle styles is a slept on set for what it is.
I made a video on this. Again, I didn't post it. My most slept on set is Fusion Strike. I did, or did I do that video? I think I actually did release that video. Um, if you go and you look at the set makeup for Fusion Strike, it is like a 8 to 9 hit secret rare set. Where like
Yeah,
the
the Muse in there and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of good cards,
there's a
and then the
lot of good,
Gengar, obviously.
and the Espeon's in
Yep,
there,
that's one. Yep.
and there's 2 gold energies in that set too, which will be legal forever, which people forget that too. Like I see that set out of the 3, chilling battle and fusion. I see fusion as being the best of the cheap 3.
Yeah, and
They're
then I
all,
think, yeah,
yeah,
they're
they're
all
all
what do
cool. Like,
middle of the road. They're all good. Yeah,
yeah,
especially in modern Pokemon. You know.
yeah, every one of them's better than Rebel Strike. Like, I mean, or Rebel Clash or whatever the hell.
So
Uh,
Dougie Fresh said 9 days short of 2 years subbed. Dougie Fresh, man, I appreciate that.
wow,
You've been subbed to this channel for almost 2 years. You got to be one of the real OGs.
wow.
So Michael asked, PK, any advice on how to purchase decent condition WotC hollows for a binder collection? Yeah. My only advice to you would be to get really familiar with condition. Don't ever buy cards that you can't see the back.
That's a big
That's
tip.
that's a big one. Like, and look at the seller's other auctions, I think is a big one. If that seller is masking his binder seal, and then you click on every single one of his other auctions, then they're all PSA graded cards, or they're all
Yeah,
CGC graded, and then magically has one binder which has like cards still in the sleeve. You can't see the backs. He just, it looks like a guy just, found his binder in his grandmother's attic or something. Like if you see that, run for the hills.
true.
Or I would say, yeah. So there's that one. Or if you see somebody with a binder and there's one single modern card in there, because then that means that they know current market because they're buying current modern product. So probably more likely than not, they've already cherry picked out all the good cards. So that's very simple advice for you, how to pick up good condition WotC hollows. But another one you got to do, and you're probably not going to want to hear this because this takes time and time is so valuable. You got to just grind, search Pokemon newly listed, and then search Pokemon end in soonest. And you're going to cycle through a lot of crap doing that. But eventually you'll get lucky and you'll hit the good one. Or another thing is when you do see a seller that you've bought from and they had some real minty stuff and they are a newer seller, you save that
Bookmark them.
guy.
Yes, I do that. Yep.
Save him and go back and look in like a week or a month or whatever.
Yep.
Because more likely than not, he probably has more of that.
Or message them too. You can even just send them a
Yeah,
quick
message.
message. I've definitely bought 2 minty collections from the same guy from doing that. And I didn't message him, but I did what you did. I bookmarked them and I put you, a lot of people too, guys, you can put, no, you can turn on your eBay notifications so you get emails for your searches too. And you can
Yep.
turn them on you can turn them on for when sellers post new items now too. So you will get a notification when, hey, Mr. Awesome Collection number 121 posted a new collection. Oh, let me look at that. Like, yeah, that's a good tip. The one I
Yeah.
would add is there's still good deals to be had on Facebook Marketplace too in your local area. And what I like about that is you can go see the stuff in person. So keep an eye on Facebook local area too. I actually picked
Yeah.
up a collection from a guy the other weekend. He knew what he had, but it was mint. It was mint. Like I paid PSA 8 prices for PSA 9 or better cards, but I
Yep.
got to inspect every card in person. So I like doing that. That's cool if you can manage to do that.
Yeah. So I think that would be my best advice. I know it's not like it's probably like the obvious answer, but I think for something like that, the answer is just the obvious play. My advice to you, if you're asking how to pick up, minty Wizard of the Coast Hollows, my suggestion wouldn't be go pick up binder collection sight unseen without backs and stuff. I would never say that. So,
Um,
um,
I'm gonna answer this one real quick. VGC asked, since I've been to Worlds, how many players sell their trophy participation cards versus keeping them themselves? Um, so you keep in mind, VGC, the last time I was at Worlds was '08. So it was a bit ago. And back then nobody sold anything because it wasn't worth that much. So every player at Worlds kept their stuff more or less. I mean, you could pick up like people were selling their bags, so their swag bag. Like you could pick up their the full set of all the languages. People were getting rid of those, but nobody really sold their winning cards. Like my top 32 and top 16 cards, I didn't sell those. And nobody was selling those on the day of anyway. Now what they did with them when they got home, who knows? But I think that that's changed from what I understand now recently. Dan's been to a lot of worlds. I know Nick's been to some. I know a lot of people that have had channels that have mentioned this, that you can go around now and you can get them to let go of them for the right price.
yeah, but prices on the floor right now are pretty crazy. I think Dan might have said that he paid around like 10,000, or I think that's what his E4 uh advertisement was, said he would pay around 10,000 for the cards. But now I heard like 2022, the prices on the floor were close to like $50,000. So
It's wow.
I think that was for the ones too. But
Even that's pretty low considering what was it, the quarterfinalists just sold for 22. There was a quarterfinalist recently from one of the older world's years that just sold for a quarterfinalist, just sold for 22,000 graded. And it was only like an 8 or a 9. I can't remember the grade, but
yeah, but I'm talking like 1, 2, 3 trophies, not,
oh yeah. I
it's,
I think
but 50,000 is a lot of money to bring cash to an event. And
sure.
imagine if you're what's the youngest age group? What's it called?
So it's 10 and under, 11 to 14, and 15 plus.
Okay. Imagine being in that 10 and under group, and then obviously the person's got to deal with that person's parents, but then it's like, hey, I want to buy your kid's card for $50,000. And the parents probably like, oh boy, like, how do you even navigate that as the
I
parent?
know that's
I could be wrong. Maybe the prices weren't that high, but I think I heard your average player, because he was at Worlds in London. I think that's what he said prices were, but I could be mistaken on the actual dollar amount.
yeah. I don't know the modern prices for them. I know that, everybody's going to know it's going to be harder. It's going to be harder to negotiate away a trophy card than it used to be.
Oh yeah.
Because people, I
And
mean, yeah, if
well,
you
yeah, it
walked
was.
up, if you walked up in '08 and offered somebody 50K for a trophy card, it would have been sold on the spot.
Yeah.
20K would have been sold on the spot, but nobody was offering that. I mean, it was like you would have offered somebody 1,000, like I'll give you 1,000 for that card, and people are like, nah, I want to keep it because I just won that. It's not worth it to me.
So, Boost TZ said, I love your thoughts on modern English sealed versus Japanese sealed. Print quality is better on Japanese, but market has less demand for Japanese and West unless promos. I kind of made my thoughts clear on that and on other videos, but I wouldn't say like the demand for Japanese product in the West is less. It's just the Japanese market's pretty crazy right now. That's all.
The demand used to be higher when we were allowed to play them in decks though, too. I remember that. I used to buy a lot of Japanese boxes back in the day because it was cheaper and I could put 4 copies of a Japanese card and keep one English outside for translation. And it was just easier to pick up some of the EXs that way. Um, I personally do like Japanese cards a lot. I always have. Um, I tried to collect, I had master sets of base through E4 of the Japanese sets that I collected. I used to go on eBay and buy complete sets and just keep them and sleeve them and binder them. I just liked, I treated them as their own set. It was its own, I mean, all the makeups of the sets are different than our sets too, for a lot of them. Different cards that we never got. Sandstorm's a great example where, they got their cards and they're holograms and ours are non-holos of a lot of the EVs. So I always felt I just treated them like they were two different sets and I was a completist, so I wanted one of each. So
Yeah.
I get the whole Japanese card thing. I think they're awesome. And some of them
Mm.
do look way better than ours.
Yeah. So Dougie Fresh said maybe that's not when he subscribed. He's not 9 days away, but that's like when my channel was created. I was gonna say it was one of the beginning, but one of the things I've been doing on my channel is just kind of going back and clipping some videos and making little highlights of them. They're they're just so they're gonna be out there because I've had a lot of people say like ask me questions that I felt were already answered in previous lives. But then I was like, wait a second, I have over 100 lives at greater than an hour piece. That means they had to watch like 100+ hours worth of lives to find the answer to one question that was talked about for 3 to 5 minutes. So I started making those clips and there's a backlog of those. I already have them all done. They're going to be coming out for like the next year.
Nice.
Sorry for
Cause I
everybody
find
out there.
those very useful. That's really
Okay.
cool. That's a good idea. I love them because I haven't seen all, I mean, I've only been sub for you for like a year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of those, like, I don't remember this. I don't remember this. Like this is good info. These are
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, you
So
should keep doing those, please.
yeah,
Those
they're
are
gonna
awesome.
keep coming out.
Nice.
They're all scheduled to come out like one a day for the next year. It's just they're just gonna keep coming out. Sorry. But one of the things I did was I went back to like one of my first lives because I was like, I wonder if I could clip anything from this. And if you go back and watch an old live, the live chat comes up and I was looking at some of the names in there. And it was pretty wild
That's
to
cool.
see. Like there was, Basic Trainer was there. And Andrew, my mod, was there. Kevin Clear was definitely there. And then I don't know if you say booyah's in the chat, but you say booyah. I haven't seen you in the chat lately, but you were definitely there too. So it was
That's
pretty
cool.
wild to see that. And there's also a thing you can do, like when you go live, is you could make it so only channel subscribers could chat, but you could change their duration. So you can make it so only people who have been subscribed for 6 months could chat, or a year, or 2 years. So I was thinking about potentially doing a giveaway one time where I will change the subscription or subscribers duration to like 2 years and saying, okay, I'm going to ask a question. The chat could answer it, but like most people won't be able to answer it. So it will really like help everybody out. But then it would encourage people because then that would be like the first giveaway. And then it would keep getting less and less until people that just subscribe
That's a
for
cool
like the last
idea.
minute. So
That's a
do
cool
like a
idea.
big giveaway and it would encourage people to want to be subscribed longer too.
Yeah, that's a good
I don't know.
idea. That's neat. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
It's something I was thinking about, but I think it would be, cool just to do it that way.
So have you been playing any? I heard you mention it. And how much have you been playing the new Pokemon Live?
I I downloaded it to test it out. I haven't had any time, man. I've been a
I
super
know.
busy person,
So
especially with a kid at home.
I I scan 100 code cards with this damn
Okay.
thing. And I think there's a glitch because not a single one of them made it in my freaking app. So I'm still at like the basic load screen with my basic. I cannot figure out how to get the damn code cards. I think might be a glitch. I gotta email them, but um
I hope it's not something where you have to redeem them still on the desktop version and then because that would just be like defeat the
you
purpose.
so you can go in and you can click redeem and then it links you into Safari to where you log into essentially the desktop page and you can use the barcode scanner to capture not the QR code because God forbid, no, you have to capture that number or that thing and then it pastes it in for you and then you hit redeem.
Oh.
But when you exit out, it doesn't add them to your pool of cards, which I'm finding very annoying. Um, but yeah, I would love to be able to do that because so I vlog now. I go to Pokemon League on Sundays And another personal thing, I bought my cards. I have my Lugia V-Star deck. I have all the cards I need for it because it's a really fun card. It's a really fun deck to play. Like legit. Like I have not been like I saw a couple gameplay videos on YouTube and I'm like, this is sick. Like
So for anybody out there who's not familiar with like the TCG, just what's Lugia's V Star's ability and
sure.
stuff, and why is it a
I'll
viable deck?
I'll go over it real quick because I have all the cards ready to go. I'm waiting on a couple more and I haven't had time to sleeve it together. So real quick. So all right.
Something
It,
people do ask for on occasion is maybe to talk a little bit about the game. Probably won't talk too much about it, but just enough where people are curious, like,
sure.
the Lugia V Star being a kind of a game changer now, or
Oh, it's a
changing the
huge
meta a little
game
bit.
changer.
Yeah.
Let me grab. All right, here we go. So you have it's a two card combo essentially. You have they're both in the same set. You have the Lugia V Star. Okay. You have the Archaeopteryx, which is a stage 2 fossil Pokemon. Okay. Lugia V Star says once during your turn, you may put up to 2 colorless Pokemon that don't have rule boxes from your discard right under your bench. Okay. So what you do is you don't play any of the pre-evolutions. You just play 4 Archaeopteryx and you dump them into your discard early in the game via Great Ball, Ultra Ball, any sort of draw mechanism, even the Lugia itself, the V, the first attack, discard a card from your hand, draw 3 cards. So now the Archaeopteryx has a power that says once during your turn, you may search your deck for 2 special energy cards and attach them to any Pokemon. So you're dumping these, you're pulling them back, and then you are accelerating 4 energy cards out of your deck to anything every turn. The
Yeah.
reason it's viable is you play nothing but special energy cards. So you play double turbos and you play, there's essentially a rainbow energy in the format. I forget the name of it actually, but you can attach to anything that's not a V. So the play is you play a bunch of really cool Pokemon that have really unique attacks that rainbow cost, such as um, the Radiant Pokemon, the Amazing Rares. You play Amazing Rare Yveltal, which for 5 energy, which is easy as shit to do, you knock out any Pokemon, period. It's just
Yeah.
knock out a Pokemon. So that, and then the other most common play right now is the Amazing Rare Raikou, which for 3 smacks any 2 thing for 120, 120. So it your turn 2 pulling 4 special energies out of your deck and throwing it on anything. And what it does is it opens up. So this just came out. Like this you could literally just put Lugia and almost any other Pokemon in your deck that you like personally and make a deck out of it, which is pretty freaking cool. So like
Yeah.
let's say you're a Venusaur fan. Put a bunch of Venusaurs in your deck, drop them on your bench, like put some energies on them. You're not gonna beat like the best build, but you'll have fun at League with it. So like I actually went out and bought straight up 4 copies of this on TCG Player at $25 a pop just to get them for the deck. That's
Gotcha.
the first card that I've since Modern that I've actually went out and spent that much money on just for deck purposes. Um,
So I think this brings up a good question though. So now that you have Pokemon Live on the mobile app and you could have more people coming in, because I think and all the shutdowns are more or less over and league play is now apart. Do you think that this could be, plays for people now to really start looking at competitive cards and going kind of back in time and realizing like, especially those who like to nickel and dime, this could be a big play for a lot of people.
I'm hoping it is. I'm really hoping that this starts to wake people up to like when they're opening their stuff and they're pulling out their bulk and they're realizing that trainers have value now and that some of the hollows in the set might have value. Like you're going to have to look at what cards it might be better to sell raw. And yeah, I like that because that's why I really like watching like Danny's videos and like even when Squeaks used to make more videos because those 2 guys come from an era and a time. Number one, when I was out of the game, but they started both of their businesses by being players and playing to the player base. They sold cards that players wanted.
Yeah.
So Danny makes tons of videos that he's like, look, guys, stop selling this stuff in your bulk. This stuff has value. But I think that yes, the app and everything, I think if more people get into it, because it's way easier to, it's supposedly, I mean, the code cards work, but having it on an iPhone is just game changing. It's just, it gives you, it expands the market. And I think that that's going to, like, I mean, Lugia V-Star is a $25 card. Just a V-Star, it's a $25 card. I mean, it's pretty big.
Yeah. So now I want to kind of segue a little bit. Now, this has been one of the big hot topics for a lot of people in the trading card community, and that's the Magic the Gathering 30th anniversary set. So I know you've definitely dabbled a little bit in Magic in the past, and you talked about kind of like leaving Pokemon to play Magic. What are your thoughts on that Magic 30th anniversary set? And
I
do you think Pokemon could ever see a similar type of release where they put out an ultra premium collect? Because yes, Charizard UPC 119, but can we ever see like the days of a 900 or just say $1,000 product?
no, no.
Yeah, no.
Pokemon cares about the players more than anything. They'll never do that. They'll never do that.
As an old Magic fan or old Magic player, how do you feel about Magic doing that and
I
all
can't
the
stand it. So
yeah.
I watch all of Rudy's videos. I love Rudy. He's freaking entertaining as hell. And in one of his videos, he made a nice timeline from like 90 to current with the Magic releases. And every year on the timeline was stacked with how many releases were in that year. And you saw a curve where it was like 5 releases, 6 releases, 5 releases. And then right in the middle where I used to play was like 4 releases a year, 4 releases, 5, 4. And then it's once you get to like 2017, 18, you just get like to where we are now with like 30 releases in a year.
Crazy.
It's insane. It's insane. So I rekindled with one of my friends, a different friend, not the one who has the collection, a different friend who I used to play Magic, D&D, and Pokemon with. He's been my friend since high school. He's older than me, but he has kept up with the Magic stuff where I haven't. I have not really. The last set I really liked from Magic, I really liked the Shards of Alara block. I really liked Zendikar. I
Okay.
probably got out around M12, M10, M11 timeline. Um, so
What
right
year
around
was
that.
that, give or take, would you say?
Give me a minute. I'm gonna say 2012, 13.
Okay.
Yeah, right around when Black and White came out. It's probably when I stopped collecting Magic. Um, so, but he's kept up with it in a very casual way. But so I asked him, I was like, "What the hell is going on? Like, why? What's going on with all the Magic stuff recently?" And he's like, "Listen," he's like, because I asked him, "What the hell is the difference between a draft box and a set box? Like, what is this crap? Like, why isn't there just booster boxes?" And he's like, "Well, the
Yeah.
one
And
has
then
better."
mystery boxes
And
too.
the
Yeah.
mystery boxes and the secret lair releases and this and that. So I actually really like Rudy's take. And this Pokemon fans pay attention because this shit's a scary ass proposition. Let me tell you, this shit scares the ever living daylights out of me. I am on board with the whole idea, and I think he's right that Hasbro may be bought by Amazon. Hasbro, the company which owns Wizards, may be bought or may be positioning themselves looking like an appetite to be purchased by Amazon. Amazon could then fulfill all of Hasbro's toys directly to the consumer, through their website. You would completely cut out middleman distribution on everything,
Yeah.
not just Wizards, but like Transformers, My Little Pony, GI Joe, all of their properties that they own would go directly to Amazon. And the way he
But
explained it,
you would kill the people doing the organized play though.
yes, you
Like
would. But
who's gonna want to host a tournament, you know, at that point?
Magic the Gathering could host their own tournaments. Wizards could put up their own sponsored tournaments I don't know
Interesting.
what they're thinking, but I do know that um distribution wise, it seems like so ever since I would agree with you if Wizards was still their own wholly owned company, but it seems like Hasbro's meddling. They're meddling And all they care about is moving boxes, moving units. That's all they care about. So what I'm thinking is, I hope to God that Pokemon never does this. Because if you think about this for a second, if all of the distributors across America stop being able to carry Magic, what the hell else are they going to carry? They might go out of business. Is Pokemon really enough to sustain them without Magic too? Like, Magic might not be as big as Pokemon anymore, but that's a big ass property to just lose all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
So how long before Pokemon's like, well, we can just sell this in the Pokemon Center. What do we need? What do we need Southern Hobby for?
I don't think that happens. You
Money
think?
talks. I don't know. That's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
what numbers are these accountants crunching behind the scenes? What at what point does it become more alluring to do that? So you never have like insurance people that run the numbers, whether or not there's a recall on a Ford product. They actually take into calculation how many deaths are acceptable versus the lawsuits that they're going to get hit with versus the recall cost. At what point does Pokemon run the calculation where, yeah, we might kill some local play, but we'll make a lot more money to all the Timmies that go online that don't have like, I don't know. It's scary. It's scary to think that there's people that might be actually thinking about changing the way we play this game and we interact with it on that drastic of a level. When I heard him say that Amazon might buy Hasbro, I was like, holy shit, that would suck. That would suck.
Yeah. If that was a thought, if Amazon was actually considering buying Hasbro, you gotta really question how much product is moving through Amazon.
Well, Wizards just dumped. They just did a
Yeah.
wave dump. I don't. I got scared. So scary. I feel so bad for people like Mason's in the chat. Like, that's the first thing I think of. The people that have been so loyal to Wizards for so long. Like,
But now let's talk about that $1,000 product. So, you know, Magic says we're never going to reprint reserve list, and I think I'm pretty sure they went out and said not even with like different backs. I
they
think
did.
they did say
They
that.
did say
And
that.
and then this product changed that. So you do have a reprint, you do have reprint of reserve list and then different backs. So they went against their word there. But now that $1,000 price point, do you think that product will sell out? Do you think it won't sell out? And if that, and now we'll do two things. One, you already kind of said you don't think Pokemon will ever do it, but I would like to just do a hypothetical. If Pokemon did do that, like what could it potentially look like? And would we have the same sort of backlash? Because I believe it or not, I don't think there would be as much backlash from the Pokemon community, which sounds crazy. And I think the reason why is because Pokemon would be able to push it out in a different way, as this is a collector's product and not a player's
Let me
product.
ask you
Because
this. What product do you think Pokemon could throw up that would be worth them saying it? What do you think that $1,000 product would look like? What is that? What is it? Is it straight up reprints of base set first edition? Like, what do you think?
it would, I mean, not, it can't be a one-to-one like reprint of anything, but I think it's a Celebrations S type product where you have a bunch of reprints of, just like Celebrations was. So you got a bunch of reprints of a bunch of like high-end cards, and then in that collection box, you're probably gonna have a couple metal cards. You know, it's maybe $999 is way too much money, but $250, I that's a big difference. That's a big leap, but I could definitely see like a $250 premium product, because I think the market is already, and because think about like the Charizard or the Celebrations UPC, the market already valued that thing at 250. So I think it's possible that Pokemon could put out like a bigger, more expensive, ultra premium type collection box at that 250 price range, which is more or less like double where their UPCs are now. And again, that is a huge difference from Magic, but Magic has started to release these more high-end products prior. I think they're just really, they push that boundary, push how much can we get away with before the community really pushes back
So
hard. And
I
I think they
agree.
got to that line.
Where I'm stuck at is I still don't see what product Pokemon could throw in there for value wise that would be worth that much money. Magic at least can throw Magic can rest back and say, we threw Moxes in there. Like, we threw
Yeah.
reserve list in there. We've already seen reprints of the best Pokemon cards.
So I think I want to go back. I think I'm going to change my, see, very few people are willing to do this, especially in the Pokemon community. I'm willing to change my take because of listening to Joe, because you're right. Because you asked, what can they put in there? And in my head, all I was thinking was they put in like 36 packs plus great promos plus all this stuff. But this is the huge like caveat to that. I'm talking the way I think they justify that product is by throwing a ton of packs in there. Magic the Gathering's product had 4 packs.
It's
There's a
nothing.
huge difference. So I do go back and I don't think Pokemon would ever do that sort of crazy high end product because you're right. The question becomes what could they put in? And I don't think there's anything they could put in unless it's just a ton of packs, which now you're just paying for packs.
The
So
only
I
thing
agree
I
with you.
think that they could put in that would get me as a buyer to buy it would be straight up copyright, maybe with the exception of the copyright date on the bottom, reprint packs. You throw us
They won't
same,
do that.
they can't do that. They don't have the rights to the wizard sets. They can't print them. I don't think that they could go back and print font for font a Skyridge pack if they wanted to.
Well, they
I,
did do base set though in
but no,
celebration.
they're not the same. The fonts are different.
Oh,
The foiling's
okay.
different. The font's different. I'm
Okay.
talking about a 1-for-1, like
A
an
super
actual
true. Okay.
super true reprint with maybe the exception of the copyright date being different on the bottom. Even if they did something like that's what it would take, like a real first edition reprint pack of something. And I don't think that they could, like, other than that, I don't
Yeah.
know what I would pay 250 or $1,000 for. I would pay $250 for a box with 10 true reprint Skyridge packs in it. Sure. If the only thing in the, if I'm opening and I'm going to get a crystal Charizard, or the only thing different on the bottom's the copyright date, I'd pay for that. But
Yeah.
I don't think they can do it. I don't think they could do
I
it.
don't think they could do it. Yeah. Because then it would be a completely non-playable
Oh,
product too,
sure.
you
It would
know?
be collector focused. That's, yeah, fine. But like Celebrations, the classic collection wasn't playable, but
Yeah.
they're all different. I mean, they're all different. They're new. I other than that though, I don't know anything that they would have to, it'd have to be serialized cards. It would have to be something serialized. And I don't know if we're ever going to see serialized in Pokemon
Yeah.
because it's the argument for serialized that I can understand. I will tell you this, Pokemon will never make a playable card that's only available as a serialized card. That will never happen. They're never going to um trap out or exclude a whole community of players from being able to play something. They go to the opposite extents.
Yeah.
They make stuff like 17 copies of the same card just to make it accessible. So they're never going to do that.
And they're good at picking the good playable cards. Put them in collection boxes, put them in tins, those easily accessible promos. Yeah, maybe they won't be that V alternative art that everybody wants. That's super expensive, but the card exists to be played. Yeah. Same thing.
Kevin said Pokemon should buy Wizards. Magic text the irony. Yes, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh, that would
That would
drive.
be irony to the yeah.
I would troll every Magic the Gathering player by putting a little Pokemon stamp on all their cards, making it.
Now, so what do you think about the player base now for Magic? So you talked to your buddy who is pretty in depth.
Yeah,
We've now heard Rudy's takes. Do you think it pushes these Magic players out? Do you think this is like the straw that broke the camel's back type
it makes
situation?
them very angry. Yes. Standard's taken a hit, which is unfortunate because from what I've heard, Standard has some great cards in it, but people they don't want to buy the products. Most of my friends play Commander.
Yeah.
Which is a really, for those that don't know, Commander, everyone watching this chat probably knows, but it's a 100 card deck. You can only have one copy. It's kind of like the gym leader format for Pokemon. You can only have one copy of any card. Um, Commander's thriving, but Commander's not enough to prop up a whole community because it's not the format. It's not the format. It's gonna take something drastic for Magic to go back to the way it used to be. I mean, I, I Magic was always focused around Standard and Legacy and Extended and the tournament prize support, and they made cards. Let me try and remember how this conversation went real quick. So, um, here's from what I understand. Again, secondhand knowledge. the way Magic set construction used to happen was they would make a set of cards, they would release it, and there was always a balance between creatures and sorceries and basically spells and creatures. In the format, they would analyze which one was kind of like more prevalent than the next, and they would make adjustments. From what I understand, and this is new since when I played, there is a whole um beta testing group that gets all the sets ahead of time,
Okay.
and they play tournaments with the cards, and they go back to R&D and say, this is too strong, this is too strong, this is broken. So from what I understand, the big complaint is that what you get is every set is just vanilla. It's like there's no more cool combos. There's no more like, wow, I got a really good idea because this breaks this card from like 3 sets ago, which was really cool in Magic. Like it got to the point where there were so many cards where if you knew what you were doing, like if you were rolling Pokédex in your head, when sets came out, you could be like, oh my God, there's a combo there. But from what I understand is that they're keeping standard so vanilla that it's almost boring. It's like, okay, this is the same card we just, it's like getting Pokemon with 100 basics that all use bite or tackle. It's like, it's the same, which it never used to be that way.
Yeah.
So that's what I heard recently. I don't know how true it is personally, but that
Yeah.
whole new beta testing thing, that was never used to be a thing.
No, I'm not into Magic really. I'm just super happy to be able to kind of be a fly on the wall to watch all this play out, because I think this is a great case study, because of how Magic came out of 2020, 2021, 2022 and crazy record sales. And, they really tried to push the envelope to see how far can you push the market till the market broke. And I think they finally broke the market. So to be able to kind of be an onlooker and not be super actively engaged in it, I think this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. All right. I think the stream is lagging.
Is
The
it?
internet is, sorry for everybody out there. I just got a warning. But yeah, Joe, I'm probably gonna wrap up the chat now.
All
We
right.
were going on for like hour 36 minutes, so pretty good. But before I do that, again, I'm pleading with all you out there. Please subscribe to Echo Base's Collectables channel. Our goal is to get them to 1,000. That's all I ask. If you're watching this video on repeat, if you're watching it 3 months from now, do me a favor.
Oh,
It's the top link in the description below. Just click on it, give the man a subscribe. That's all I ask for. And
thanks,
also
man.
like this video while you're at it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you have any closing thoughts?
Um, I
The
would
Jerry
also
Springer
like,
final moment.
I
Final
would
thoughts.
I would like to encourage everybody out there to download the app and learn how to play the Pokemon game. That is my one. If I could ask everybody out there to do one favor for me, learn, just even if you never play another human being, just you will appreciate your cards in a whole new, you will develop a new relationship as a collector. That is the one thing I can encourage you to do. Other than that, no, it's been great, man. I always love coming on, talking, been wanting to do this again for a while. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, Joe. And I know I could speak for Joe. We appreciate every single one of you guys out there watching this. You guys are the reason why we do this. You are one of the main reasons we love this hobby so much, is just for that community. But with that said, guys, we'll catch you on the next video.